It's time for Wave 3 Listens Live on Kentuckiana's first live local TV talk show, all hosted by John Ramsey. This is Wave 3 Listens Live.
Thank you so much for joining us on Wave 3 Listens Live. It is the Thursday edition. Let's take a look at the rundown. What's coming up on today's show? Spring is here. That means spring sports. If you're a weekend warrior or you're the parent of a child who plays lacrosse, softball, whatever the case may be, we're going to talk about keeping players in the game with a couple of experts from Floyd Memorial Hospital. Also, PNC Broadway in Louisville is announcing their new season. Broadway shows, great theater coming to Louisville. You'll want to know exactly what's coming this season to the Kentucky Center for the Arts. Kentuckiana Crime Stoppers. It's an edition that has a little bit of urgency to it because we're looking for a fugitive. We'll talk to Dave Yates about that. And Dr. Eli Karam is here. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist. In fact, if you have any issues in your household, whether it be your husband, your wife, the children, family members, whatever the case may be, call us at 571-5263. Free expert advice, and in fact, for every caller that we receive today, you'll receive 2 tickets to the Home Garden and Remodeling Show. There we go. This weekend, you have 2 free tickets if you talk to Dr. Eli. Dr. Eli, Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapists. That's where you get some of these emails. If folks aren't comfortable with talking to you one-on-one on television, they can write to you, right?
That's right. And every week we answer some emails here on the show. So marriage and family therapists are going to look at you through strength and health, you and your whole family, remember. So if you have any relational issue, even if you're not in a relationship, you want to be within, or you're trying to process a failed relationship, please give us a call today. And as always, we got interesting stuff to talk about, and viewed by you, the viewer. You send in what you want to talk about, and that's what happened today. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Really good stuff to talk about.
In fact, I like your style, Dr. Eli. I haven't hidden the fact that I love the way you handle things. With that being said, I think a lot like medicine, and I hate to relate it to a physical ailment, but sometimes these issues, it is good to be proactive.
Yeah.
When you see something coming up or brewing in your family, instead of letting it, boil over, go to a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Yes, we view people as not their problems, but there are some things that come up in the family life cycle, John, that we know are expected roadblocks. So best intervention is prevention. So if you know what's coming up, and you have a way to talk about it, put a game plan together with you and your significant others, you're going to be in a good spot. So marriage and family therapist, when you make an appointment, it doesn't have to be at a crisis time. It could be you're thinking about getting married. It could be that you have a life event coming up, your child is getting ready to launch, some expected change, and then you get the game plan going. And any marriage and family therapist should be able to kind of meet with you. You should get a good feel of how they work, how they're geared, and should lay out both a family plan and an individual plan so that you know how you fit in with all these significant other people in your family or your life.
All right, you can give us a phone call. We're going to put you to work, Dr. Eli.
Okay.
This is an email that Dr. Eli received through kamft.org. Here we go. Dear Dr. Eli, I can't wait for this winter to be over. Amen. I am at my wit's end with all of these snow days. I feel like I'm about to lose it with my spouse and my kids. I think I have seasonal affective disorder, but I've never been diagnosed with depression before. Please tell me more about it, and what can I do to make things better at home? Darla. This is certainly something I think we can all relate to. You and I talked a little bit about this. We have a measure of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is something, seasonal affective disorder, sometimes known as SAD, S-A-D, affects over 12 million Americans, so it's very prevalent. And when most people think of it, they do think of it in this winter months, although there's a subsection, actually, people that are affected in the summer. But in the winter months, how do you know if you have this? Well, for really no certain stress or reason, you feel lacking energy, lacking motivation. Many people, there's a change in their eating or sleeping habits. In fact, they sleep more and they just can't engage. And with this type of winter we have, I mean, it has really been oppressive for a lot of people for the last 2 or 3 months, in the sense that last week, this time we had a little reprieve. It was gotten to the 50s last Thursday, but today we're back into really cold weather. And for many people, that means they can't go out, they can't stay active. So we got some tips for you, the viewer, and thanks for writing in, Darla, if you might be affected by this, because we still have, we're getting close to the home stretch, but we still have some cold weather coming. So here's our tips. First one, and a really common treatment, is light therapy. So that they actually sell, many companies sell a light exposure where you can actually go and get a light that you sit in front of sometimes twice a day for about 45 minutes in an interval. Other people, even if they're not vain, like to go to a tanning booth this time of year just to feel that natural heat and warmth. So that's one thing you can do. And another tip is get these physical outlets. If you have exercise habits, sometimes in weather like this, especially if you like to exercise outdoors, they kind of fall away or slip away. So what you want to do is try to get into a good routine, and if you have someone to work out with, even better. John and I were talking workouts in the morning. That's kind of how you're scheduled anyway, but
yes,
that for a lot of people helps them get their day going, gets it started. So that's helpful for you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, Doctor, I want to make it, and please clarify, it's not psychological.
Right.
There are some endorphins that are released through exercise, and the same thing with the sun. Aren't there really is there vitamin D, or what is it exactly that makes you feel better other than the warmth?
Oh, sure. It's just this idea of engaging. Not only are there physical benefits, you get the blood flowing, it gets you out and moving, especially if you do it in the morning. Some people say, well, I'm going to do it after work. I'm going to do it later in the day. If you can do it in the morning and start off your day, it gets you going, and it breaks up some of this lethargy and things you have. So there's certainly benefits in that. Another thing, people like their comfort foods, especially high carbohydrate foods. There's a big correlation between people that suffer from seasonal affective disorder and engaging in a kind of high carb diet. So if you can kind of cut back that, or at least do it in moderation, that can help. Other thing too, it's like, this idea of having a list, checking things off your list. Behavioral activation, when we're treating any type of depression, means you have to do something differently in order to feel or think differently. So if you're just hanging around, if you're not feeling productive, and when I mean productive, I just don't mean physically. I mean, you got something around the house you want to do, you have some task that you've needed to take care of, even if it's not necessarily enjoyable to do the task, there's this sense of accomplishment if you have a checklist, and by the end of that day or the end of that week, you've knocked things off of that. And then this idea of focusing on your significant other. Sometimes when we're feeling depressed, again, maybe we've slept more, we've put on weight, we don't really want to be around other people. Well, that's really counterproductive in battling depression. This idea of being active but also being around other people really helps. So make sure you prioritize your protected time if you're in a relationship, and if you're not, be around good people that are going to keep you motivated and active. And then last but not least, if you have this, no stigma, no shame. Some people have a chemical imbalance, as we're saying, and they need consultation with a professional, your primary care doc, a psychiatrist, somebody to help them get a boost to get going. Yeah.
If you have a spouse who suffers from SAD, encourage them to be more active. What can you do as a spouse, someone that's in that support circle, if you know someone who is affected by this? And it is real.
It is.
A lot of people will say, oh, that's psychological, you're fine, you're just depressed, you want some sun. We're all like that. No, it's real. And I've seen people go into, I wouldn't say a deep depression, but it definitely affected their daily activity.
It definitely, and we were thinking relationally, if someone you care about is suffering, you're suffering too, especially if you like doing stuff with them.
Amen.
So what you can do is you can offer them, you don't want to shame them, you want to say, oh, come on, you're getting fat and lazy. You don't want to say that. You want to offer them opportunities to get involved with you, to do stuff that they will find interesting. And sometimes if you take the lead and make it an invite versus a demand, a request, if you will, that can help. So yeah, you want to encourage your partner, and this affects not just adults too, adolescents or whatever too. You want to keep people moving, keep them active, and start looking forward to the spring. Something that will help next week, I believe, is daylight savings time. So we're going to get an extra hour of daylight as we spring forward, and it's sometimes very oppressive. I know some mornings work pretty hard. I'll wake up, I'll go to work in the dark, and I'll come home in the dark, and you don't get a lot of sunlight. So it's really important be looking forward to spring. And some people, even if they're stuck right now, to have some type of goal coming up, some proximal goal in the future, vacation, something to look forward to, is also a boost that can get you over these next few weeks where many people will suffer, heading through March until the beginning of April.
I'm curious, Doc. I know that depression can be genetic, passed from one generation to another. Is seasonal disorder SAD? Is it also, can it be something that's passed from father to son?
Yeah.
Much like depression?
Yeah. If you have, if you know that you have a family member with a link for this, of course there is a there's a genetic link, but also, you know, it just might be, you might not be, as John and I were saying, I don't consider, I wouldn't feel like I have gone through bouts of depression, but during this time of year, especially a winter like this, it affects me. So even if you don't have a clinical diagnosis, many people feel this little case of the winter blues, even if they're normally pretty positive and non-depressed otherwise.
Before we go into commercial break, Doc, we're opening up the phone lines, 571-5263, a couple of free passes for the Home Garden and Remodeling Show. If you call in and ask Dr. Eli a question. What kind of questions, real quickly, on everything's open, right?
Yeah, everything's open. Anything relationships, anything you have a concern, spouse, a child, whether it be adult child, a young child, anything about relationships, how to get in one, how to exit one, or anything going on in your relational life, we can handle it.
All righty, 571-5263. We'll be right back. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist. He is Dr. Eli Karam. We call him Dr. Eli. We'll be right back with your phone calls on Wave 3 Listens.
Wave 3 News and Bounce TV celebrate Black History Month along with Who's Who Louisville African American Profiles.
Hello, I'm Kevin Sherm, President of Superior Maintenance Company and the 2013 Ernest Young Entrepreneur of the Year. We're celebrating 25 years in business and 20 years with Toyota. Toyota has been the foundation of our success. We started with them as a mop and bucket business and developed into a nationwide facility service company using the Toyota production system. I would like to salute my father, Toyota, Humana, Brown Forman, George Fisher, and Laurel and Yates for their support in developing a more prosperous community and environment for our employees.
This publication will include bios and profiles of more than 500 current local African American citizens who have made and continue to make positive contributions to the growth and development of our community. For inclusion and advertising information, please contact Dwayne Lightfoot Sr. at 502-240-0444 or email Dwayne at who'swholouisville.com. Together, we salute Black History Month.
Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens. Family issues. Maybe it's with your spouse, a son. Perhaps you've got a peripheral family who's getting involved with things you'd rather them not get involved with. 571-5263. We have a professional here. It's the Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, Dr. Eli Karam, KAMFT.org. All right, Dr. Karam, have another email that was sent to that address. Let's give it to you here. You can give us a call if you have an issue you'd like to talk to Dr. Karam about. My high school senior is preparing to go on spring break next month with a few of his close friends and a parent that I don't really know. While my husband and I initially agreed to this plan, I'm growing more uncomfortable with each passing day about the minimal parental supervision that will be in place. I know that my son will be around the temptation of drugs and alcohol, and I am worried about what could happen. Would it be okay to change the plan and have him bring a friend or two on a more low-key vacation with my husband, younger daughter, and me instead of going to Florida like he originally planned? Lisa, this is a dilemma. If you have a middle schooler or a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in high school, I am sure you have probably faced. This is a tough one here.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
luck.
Lisa I just got this one in last night, so right in time. Okay, so well, there's a couple issues. So yes, as John was saying, the developmental age of your child is pretty important. So your son's a senior, and it sounds like from your email he's a pretty good kid, that you don't have any other kind of major concerns. So this idea, as we said, marriage and family therapists are going to work with families around these transition points. So your son, he's going to have this rite of passage launching from high school probably into college anyway. So this, Lisa, is something you have to prepare yourself for anyway. So kind of things to ask yourself. You're wondering if you should pull back your plan. Well, first thing, yeah, knowing what type of parental supervision is going to be there is probably important. However, probably in your mind, nobody could safeguard or watch your son as well as you could. So you're going to have to learn to cut the cord anyway. But yeah, you should have some basic knowledge of where they're going. Obviously, to be able to talk to that other parent is probably really important. If you get a negative vibe, or that's not good, but if that parent is able to kind of explain, it's really important. And also to have this approach that, probably at 17, 18 years of age, they're going to go on to this kind of rite of passage, this spring break trip. So it's probably not going to be, as you said, like a family trip in the way you would envision to Florida. So it's probably going to be a little different. So you have to have that coming in and just have the safeguards. Things, set up a time to kind of check in with your son multiple times. Some parents like to check in once a day, or maybe text during the day, and then every day or so have a phone conversation. So you just want a kind of check-in system, and then just to talk about with your son how to mitigate risk, drugs, alcohol, things that you're worried about, things that are part of spring break around this age group, to be able to talk about a plan and what to do if your son is uncomfortable, what to do if he needs help. And if you can lay that out ahead of time, again, best offense is a good defense in the sense of talking about these predictable things that could happen without freaking out. Because if you have a freak out moment, or what I call a teachable moment, your son could tune you out, much like the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, wah, wah. They stop listening. And really what you want to do is connect with your son on, you want him to have a good trip. You also want him to be safe. So if you model that and you talk to that parent, I don't think you have to cancel your plans. And it might be really damaging to your relationship with your son, especially if he's been good in all these other areas, 4 weeks to go to change the plans. That could actually do more harm than good for you.
That seems to resonate with my son, especially if I show him like articles of children who have hurt themselves, maybe even died, with alcohol poisoning or whatever the case. Said, look at this. This can happen. I'm concerned about you. I love you.
Right.
This is why I want to talk to you about this. It's not because I want to keep you in check or I don't trust you.
Right.
It's just be careful.
Right.
We have a phone call.
Good.
Shanna's with us. We're going to put Dr. Karam to work here. Shanna, welcome to the show, and good afternoon to you.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Shanna. What's your question?
Well, I guess I had a baby a little over a year ago, and I guess I was just wondering, I guess how to get the spark back, or everything is so worked or busy, and the kids and everything else, and my husband and I just don't have as much time for each other as we would like.
Yeah, really great question. In the sense that sometimes when you get married and you have a child, and it's going to be this happy time, and it is for many ways, but a lot of the research says that really marital satisfaction, sexual satisfaction, even in the healthiest of relationship, takes a dip in these years after your child is born. So a lot of that is normal. And again, if you freak out, especially if you've had a good sexual connection or spark, as you say, with your spouse ahead of time, sometimes when you lose that, you freak out. But there's a lot of normalizing reasons. There's physical changes, obviously, in your body. There's disruption of sleep. A whole new person to think about. And it's only normal to kind of then organize all your energy and time around a baby. So while that is normal, couples that survive this period the best are those that block out that couple time. They don't focus all on parenting or focus all around the baby. They block out what I call this protected time. So if you and your husband can get, and sometimes people don't do this because I don't want to leave my baby, or I can't trust a babysitter. So hopefully, whether it be your family or a babysitter, you can rely on I like to say no more than every 7 to 10 days, you need some protected time. If you can block that out, kind of start focusing back on the couple, you can get that back.
Nice call. Thank you so much for watching, Shannon. And that's not abnormal.
No.
I think it's nice to hear from a professional. Hey, this happens to everyone.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Coming
Even
up,
the best.
More of your phone calls coming up. We thank you so much. We've got Robin on hold. Your call is welcome as well. We'll be right back. Licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. Eli Karam is with us. We'll be right back Thursday on Wave 3 Listens. Reality television at its best. Real issues with real answers with Dr. Eli. Let's go to the phones and talk to Robin, who is with us. Robin, welcome to the show. Good afternoon, Robin.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem. Go ahead.
I was just wanting to ask, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she really is a very, very good girl. My question is to you is I just feel like I don't connect with her as well as I would prefer. We're just a little bit distant. As a matter of fact, we communicate better through text, and I noticed her personality better through texting, and she's sweet as could be, but I just don't like I connect with her when we're together. And it's not that she's fast. She's not even sassy. It's just a matter of having that close connection, and she bonds better with her dad than she does with me. And I'm just wondering, what's your advice?
Yeah, Robin, thank you. So again, very common. You got, much like our earlier email, if you have basically a good teenager at home, they don't cause you a lot of problems, yet you're finding it hard to come up with a common interest. And many teenagers now certainly use technology, texting, instant messaging. They use that now to convey what's going on with them. And there's some dangers to that. And as you said, you can't judge tone. You can't really get in depth with that. But for a lot of parents, it is kind of window in, and that's what you have to have, a window in. So you kind of meet your daughter where she's at. So what she's interested in, rather than, even if it's different to you or not what you were interested in at that age, kind of take an interest. And also their peer group. A lot of parents, again, they go into these teachable moments, or they're threatened by who their kids are hanging out with. But if you react out of a place of fear or anxiety, you're going to lose those moments. So I would know about her world. And sometimes those are the car rides to school in the morning, or picking them up. It's those little moments, those dailiness. It's checking in before they go to sleep. It's not this really big focused event. But if you can kind of get knowledge of her world, and if you can also, sometimes parents, they need to overprocess versus just be in the moment with their son or daughter. So being in the moment is more important sometimes than if you go in with this big life lesson or the talk, it might be awkward for your child and for you. So you just want to capture them, again, being in the moment, knowing about their world, and kind of building that connection. And if you can find some shared activity, that's even better. But don't overfocus, don't overforce it. Enjoy what you have, and also, don't hesitate to let your daughter know that you are proud of her. A lot of parents forget to do that, and that can also pave the way for this increased connection. Thank you so much for your call.
You know, to find that commonality, I did it with my son through music. Found out what kind of music he likes. I started listening to it and actually liked it, and then so we kind of bonded through that.
That's a perfect one.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
James is with us now. James, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, James.
How you doing?
All right. What's going on?
Well, I've been seeing this chick, not really seeing her, but I've known her for about 10 years now, and I've been trying to get her attention, show that I like her and do stuff for her. The kids like me and stuff, but I'm not the type of guy to just dump in a relationship. I like to get to know them first. Mm-hmm. But there seems to be a big distraction, which comes down to be the cell phone, which is the internet and all that. But I really don't know what to do in the situation.
So this is someone you've known, you've kind of seen off and on, you know her children, but you would like more of a commitment or more of an exclusive relationship than you have?
Yes, more or less we're friends. We've been friends for years, but and I like to get to know the person before I get with them.
All right, so part of you would like more than a friendship is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right, so, well, and 10 years is a long time to know someone. So it could very well be that you have seen them in a different light, but they like the friendship, and they haven't necessarily seen you in that way. So it's interesting in the sense that many people, they don't proceed past that because they really like the friendship, and even though they would like more, they fear that they will mess up the friendship. So I think you have to determine that, number one, and you have to determine if you did make your intentions clear that you would like to have, or at least understand more if she has romantic feelings for you. If she did not, would that make it hard for you to be friends with her after that? If you did tell her how you felt about her and then she did not have the same feelings, would that make it hard to still be friends with her, or no?
No, I'd still be friends with her.
Good. And I think that could be your disclaimer, that when you sit her down, and obviously you should do it at a place where there's no distractions, and you look her in the eye and you tell her that you've enjoyed the friendship and you wonder if there is anything more than that. But if there's not, all you want is the truth, and you would still like to be kind of in her life in that role. Because that's 10 years. That is a long time. Have you been through other relationships in that 10 years, or have you just kind of been waiting and hoping for this one relationship with this woman?
I've been in relationships, but it's like maybe a handful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I like to get to know the person first, and if it doesn't work out, you know, I'm not going to fight and argue.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just turn, you know, walk away.
And her relationship status, is she open, or is she currently, because the other thing, your issue is you wouldn't want to approach her if she was currently in a relationship, because that would kind of stack the cards against you to start with.
Right. Well, she's been with one person off and on, but, you know, I think she's kind of leading the way from that.
All right. Well, I hope you can kind of vocalize what you've been thinking, and are brave certainly to make the call today. And certainly a marriage and family therapist could also kind of help you process kind of getting from that stuck in that friend zone into how to kind of advocate for yourself, initiate more things that could lead to romantic relationships. So I appreciate that. James brings up a good point. When you're thinking about a marriage and family therapist, a lot of people, you know, they say, hey, I got this going for me, I'm nice on this, but I can't seem to be successful in this relationship. I can't get over the hump. Marriage and family therapists can help you look at kind of your relationships past, how you interact with people, and kind of give you authentic feedback on how to really kind of put yourself out there and succeed in these relationships.
There are times when you're probably too close to it, and you don't know really
exactly. You're in the
issue.
bubble of
Right.
your relationship. It's hard. Sometimes you need outside objective feedback.
Makes perfect sense. All right, we may not be able to get to the answer, but we're going to try. Vicki is with us. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
Vicki. Go ahead.
Yes, we have a 17-year-old daughter, and my husband is trying to keep her in the house all the time. He won't let her go anywhere with her friends. The only place he lets her go is with her cousins. And it's really starting to mess with her, and I want to know if like something she can tell him or something I can tell him to let him let loose a little bit.
Yeah, okay, real quick. Number one, yeah, it's got to be a unified parental message. So if your husband keeps kind of digging his heels in and not letting her out, it's not only going to cause a split between your daughter and him, it's going to cause a split between you and him. So first is you got to kind of state your stance as a co-parent. Second of all, as we said, developmentally, she's 17. She's going to launch eventually. So the more he restricts now, the more she's going to want to get away later. So the best thing he could do now is kind of open up, let her kind of spread her wings with the idea that she will return, versus if he's so restrictive now, he could potentially damage the future adult daughter-father relationship. And the last thing is, if you can help your daughter to honor what's underneath that from him. He's probably a loving, good guy, good husband, good father, and if she can connect to that versus him being, you know, authoritarian or militant or restrictive, he's probably going to understand it. So she can soften in front of him and connect to the fact that he loves her. It's going to help him to let go and let her go and spread her wings.
Good answer. It's hard to let Daddy's little girl go. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. And you're right. Unified message. I love that. KAMFT.org. That's Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. KAMFT.org for questions. You can go there also and check out all the great information, right, Doc?
Yeah, you can go and see all our past segments over the last about 15 months on the show. And we'll be back next week. So keep sending in those emails, and that's how we feed our topics. That's how we come up with good things to talk about. Great calls today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eli. I appreciate that. All right, coming up, we have a fugitive that we're looking for. Dave Yates is going to help us out on Kentuckiana Crime Stoppers. And if you'd like to win the same swag bags that the celebrities are winning or taking home at the Oscars, you can have one. We're going to give one away next on Wave 3 Listens.